everybody, it's Heidi Fang here, and I'm joined with our Raiders beat writer, Vinny Bonsignore. We're going to break down what we saw here during the Raiders' mandatory minicamp for you and look ahead to their training camp taking place in Costa Mesa in July. Vinny, first of all, I just wanted to get your general feeling, your general observations of what you saw from this team on the field in the 2 days that we did have.
I think safe to say the defense is ahead of the offense. That's okay. You think about it, the Raiders have a brand new offensive coordinator, a new head coach. They haven't decided yet on who their quarterback's going to be, Aiden O'Connell or Gardner Minshew. So it stands to reason that the offense is going to be a little bit behind the defense, maybe even a lot of it behind the defense at this point. But it's all about getting into that playbook, learning the playbook, developing that cohesiveness and that chemistry, all of which they hope that happens in training camp. It didn't happen yet, but that's to be expected. So defense looks great. The offense is kind of where you would expect it to be, given all the circumstances that they're dealing with.
One of the things that I took note of was watching the offensive line work against this defense. Like, as you put it, Vinny, they're really, really pushing the envelope here in the minicamp and OTAs, everything that we've seen from this defense. They are full steam ahead. What have you seen out of the offensive line during this time?
Well, as a former offensive lineman, I'm going to say it's kind of unfair right now what the offensive linemen are going through. They don't have pads on. They can't fight fire with fire right now because there is no physicality going on. So while Max Crosby is getting the best of Thayer Munford, outspeeding him, Thayer Munford can't fight back because you're not in pads right now. Wait till the pads get on. Not to say that Max isn't going to have his way with whoever he plays against this year, including Thayer Munford, but it sure would help for the offensive linemen, and I know they'll all tell you this, if they could actually hit back right now. Okay. They can't, so you have to kind of keep that in perspective. So from an offensive standpoint, an offensive coordinator standpoint, is your footwork where it needs to be? Are you doing what you're supposed to be doing on that particular play? Yeah, the one-on-one reps are going to get more important when the pads come on. Right now, not that it's meaningless, but it's definitely favored toward the defense. And without question, this is a really good Raiders defense, including a great defensive line. But I feel bad for the offensive linemen because, like I said, they can't fight back right now.
Have you had any word on Colton Miller's status and what's going on there? We know he had that shoulder injury, as well as Jackson Powers-Johnson, the rookie.
Yeah, both were dealing with a shoulder injury. Remember, Colton got hurt toward the end of last year. His shoulder injury cost him some games. They're being really cautious with him right now. I think if there was a game to be played, he'd be fine. Same with Jackson Powers-Johnson. But this is the time of year to be prudent and careful with injuries. The goal for Colton Miller is to be ready to start the season and to be ready to finish the season. And I think you can not necessarily cut some corners right now, but be a little bit more prudent and careful with guys with injuries. So I don't really have any worries about that.
All right, let's talk about some standouts, because there's definitely been some players already flashing here, especially on the offense. I'm thinking of a wide receiver in particular, Vinny. Maybe you have the same person on your mind as well. I had Trey Tucker thinking that, wow, the speed. You mentioned it during our last stand-up that we did here together. Like, he looked like he was shot out of a cannon. Yeah. What have you seen? What have you seen from some of the some of these guys?
He definitely can. And what was interesting about Trey is, talking to him last year, there was a lot of him telling me, man, I'm not able to get to my full speed right now because he was dealing with some leg issues. And I would tell him, well, that's kind of a scary thought for the defense. He was like, I know, I'm hoping that is a scary thought because they're thinking I'm this fast, I'm actually faster. And I think we're starting to see that now that he's fully healthy with the legs. He is looking spectacular out there in terms of his athletic ability, his better understanding of the wide receiver position. That was something that he needed to work on this year. So I think if used properly and the quarterbacks are playing their game, you're going to see a Trey Tucker that could be used in a variety of different ways, not just as a speed guy going downfield, but he worked on his pass route running, his understanding of the position. So I think there's plenty of different ways that they're going to be able to use him. So for sure, he's been a standout out here.
All right, we know about guys like Max Crosby. We know about guys like Christian Wilkins. Is there somebody else on defense who has really caught your eye?
Yeah, I think the linebacker group has looked really good. Obviously, Robert Spillane and Divine Diablo. I like the cornerbacks, Jack Jones, Nate Hobbs. I think Jacorian Bennett has had his moments. Remember, he started the season as a starter last year as a rookie. Had some injuries, had some ups and downs, inevitable for a rookie. He looks like he's ready to take another step forward. I like Marcus Epps, Trayvon Merrick. Really, the entire defense has looked good out there right now. Now it would help certainly help if the Raiders offense can catch up to the defense.
Now we look ahead to training camp coming up, like I said, Costa Mesa into July. What are you going to look ahead to as the Raiders get underway in Costa Mesa?
Yeah, I think one key is, and as Antonio Pierce talked about this, you can't take any steps back. So all the work that you put in, up till this point, this very day, you can't step back from that. You have to hit the ground running come July. The coaches are going to go into their lab. They're going to, probably pare down this offensive playbook a little bit to start, orchestrating an offense that fits better with the talent that they have. They're going to eliminate some things that they weren't proficient at here in practice, but it's on the Raiders players to understand that playbook. And I think we're going to get a pretty good idea early in training camp, especially when those pads come on who took the time to learn that playbook and master that playbook over these next 6 weeks and who didn't. The Raiders obviously hope there's way fewer of the guys that didn't that did. But invariably, there's probably going to be a little bit of that. So what I want to see from this Raiders offense is the growth between now. I know they're not going to be on the field, but that doesn't mean guys can't hit the playbook. But the growth between and understanding between now and training camp, and what does that look like once training camp opens?
Certainly, we'll both be out there for you, giving you all the coverage, the fast takes, the smart coverage, VegasNation.com. It'll be Vinny, Bonsignore, Ed Graney, Adam Hill. We'll all be out watching the action and then delivering it back to you. So make sure to keep up with all that we do there at VegasNation.com.